where do I even begin? Well, I suppose I could begin here. This is volume 1 of Dragon Ball Z. This is the only volume that I own of Dragon Ball Z. In fact, the only Dragon Ball book I own. And this is actually one of my prized possessions because it's signed by every member of Team 4 Star. And one neat thing that I've noticed is that you, at the end of each chapter, I think it's each chapter, at least it's the end of this one, you get a little blurb from Toriyama himself. There's his little self-portrait there. Let's see what he has to say at the end of this chapter. Most of the time, when my assistants aren't around, I work in a TV room while sitting at the kotatsu. That's a low table with an electric heater and a comforter around the sides to keep in the warmth. Part of the reason is that I just can't get comfortable at a desk and chair. Also, it's kind of lonely working without the TV or video on, but it's important not to get distracted by the TV and stop drawing. While I'm working, I always try to act like I'm not paying any attention to it. I'm such a good boy. Akira Toriyama, 1989. Well, the reason I'm bringing this up is if you haven't heard the news lately, I don't know how you couldn't have heard the news. Beloved manga creator and character designer Akira Toriyama has passed away. And you can tell I'm getting a little choked up about it. He passed away at the age of 68, which isn't that old. He died from, I believe it's called a subdural hematoma. Basically, blood pooled around his brain. And it's usually caused by head trauma. So I don't know how he was able to get a pool of blood in his, between the skull and his brain. But if medical attention isn't, if you don't get medical attention, you are almost certainly going to die. And that is what happened to Akira Toriyama. I don't know what I can say that hasn't already been said about the man. So, I'm just going to let it all out. Toriyama has had an immeasurable influence on so many people's lives, including his contemporaries and peers. He was best friends with JoJo creator Araki. He was a mentor to Ichiro Oda of One Piece. And forgive me, I can't remember his name, but he has a protege working on Dragon Ball Super to carry on his work and legacy. And it is absolutely impossible to overstate the impact that Toriyama's work has had on not just Japanese pop culture, but pop culture in general. Like the amount of times that Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z have been referenced in so many different shows and cartoons and video games, not in American culture, is unbelievable. If it weren't for, Dragon Ball Z is what got anime popular in the West. I know when I was much younger, at the end of every high school day, hell, just at the end of every school day, I would come home and watch Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z on Toonami. And I had the games. I didn't collect much in terms of figures and manga, but I do have a couple of the DVDs. I do have a couple of the movies, the Dragon Ball Z movies. I have a couple box sets. Let me show you some. Without messing up my display too much, let me show you some of the stuff that I do have. So, I love this figure. It's Grandpa Gohan. You know, wearing his mask. You know, a simple hello. I also have this. Interactive Dragon Radar. So, it's the Dragon Ball jingle. Yeah, see? Shows you all the Dragon Balls are. So, you collect them all. And you summon Shenron. Basically, you who have collected Dragon Balls, state your wish. Say your wish. Your wish is now granted. Farewell. It's got I fucking love that Dragon Ball jingle. And then it shuts off after a while. I also have this. Old school viewers of mine might recognize these. I have an entire set of miniature Dragon Balls. I used these in a video years ago to advertise my full-length review of Dragon Ball Evolution, which I have a copy of Dragon Ball Evolution also signed by every member of Team 4-Star. And they hated it. And, let's see. I also have this. Everyone knows what this is. Scouter. It used to have a headband, but I lost it. So now it's just collecting dust on the cabinet here. I also have a Super Saiyan 1 Goku figure, Vegeta, Nappa, and a little scene of Piccolo sacrificing his life to save Gohan. So yeah, I have a couple things related to Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I grew up playing the Budokai games. I fucking love the Budokai games. Budokai 3 is still one of the best fighting games ever made. It's just... And it's not just Dragon Ball either that Toriyama worked on. He designed all the characters and stuff for Dragon Quest, known back then to English viewers as Dragon Warrior. Played the shit out of Dragon Warrior. Was never any good at it. I'm not good at RPGs. If I don't have a walkthrough, I'm fucked. You know. It's just the man, like, his influence is, he was essentially the Stan Lee of Japanese comics. You know, he was incredibly influential with everything that he did, everything that he worked on. I fucking love his art style, especially his earlier work. That it looks so carefree and whimsical. And even when he went to, even as he evolved his style to be more serious, you know, he did great work with muscles and character features. He put a ton of detail in all of his work. I don't know everything that he worked on. But if he had a hand in it, it was a pretty big fucking deal. I do know, besides Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, he did Chrono Trigger, another legendary game. Every single fucking Dragon Quest game. Tobal and Tobal 2, a fighting game series. What else? Dr. Slump, of course. Before there was Dragon Ball, there was Dr. Slump. There was this manga he worked on that was like a devil or some shit, or fallen angel. I can't remember. And he also had another manga that takes place in a vast desert. Like, the man's been busy. You know, all throughout his life he's been busy. You know, working on his next big thing. But nothing was bigger than Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. And it's just... I'm at a loss for words. You know, I'm sorry I don't have much to say. I mean, what else could I say other than he will forever be missed. Even though he's gone, his legacy will endure forever for generations. Many things that we know about today wouldn't exist without Akira Toriyama. Whether through Dragon Ball or whatever else. Like, he was influential in crafting the modern day RPG with Dragon Quest. You know, a lot of the tropes that we know about with Japanese animation come from Dragon Ball, come from Dragon Ball Z, come from things that Akira Toriyama has directly worked on. And he will be missed. You know, sorry. It's just, the man has been... I grew up with his greatest work. I grew up with his greatest works. And you know, parasocial relationships are fucking weird, man. I don't even know the guy. And even if he was alive, there's no way in fucking hell I would ever get a chance to meet him. And here I am, you know, shedding tears over the guy. Over somebody I've never met, who've never met me. It's just, he was that influential in... And he touched so many lives with his work, and that's just how it is sometimes. You know, like, look at, you know, whenever a famous voice actor dies, look at Kevin Conroy. You know, it was a fucking punch in the gut when he died. You know, I mean, Eddie Guerrero. I'm still heartbroken over him. He was one of my favorite wrestlers. I've never met him. He's never met me. But yet, you know, it's heartbreaking when he passed away. And, I'm trying to think who else. But yeah, you know, that's just how it is sometimes. You know, you grow up with somebody's work. You find out that you grow up being passionate about somebody else's work. You know, you become obsessed with it. You know, you live and breathe it, and then you find out that they pass away, and it just fucking punches you in the gut, man. You know, but it's just tragic. It's sad. I can't even say he lived a long life, because he only died. My mom's in her 60s. And that's not old, you know. You know, he died very suddenly. It sounds like, just got bleeding in the brain, and then he passed away. You know, one thing is for certain: he will be missed, and he will not be forgotten. And his impact, his influence will live on forever. So, rest in peace, Akira Toriyama. I hope your contemporaries will make you proud. Big Al. Over and out.